What if I told you that a seemingly minor bump on the head from a rear-end collision on I-65 could actually be a ticking time bomb for your brain? A massive new medical study tracking over 500,000 people just uncovered a terrifying link between a mild concussion and long-term brain decline, and it completely changes how we value injury claims in Indiana. If you've been told to just rest and you'll be fine, you aren't getting the whole truth. Let's talk about what's really happening inside your skull after it is bumped in a car accident or a fall. Look, I get it. Right now, your life feels like it's spinning out of control. You were in an accident, your car is damaged, the medical bills are piling up on the kitchen counter, and you're dealing with constant throbbing headache or a strange mental fog that you just can't shake. To make matters worse, the insurance adjusters are calling you daily, acting like your friend, while gently pressuring you to close their file. You've probably gone to an emergency room or a prompt care clinic here in Indiana, and the doctor looked at a clean CT scan, patted you on the shoulder and said, "It's just a mild concussion. Go home, rest in the dark room, and you'll just be fine in a week or so." But deep down, you know something isn't right. You're forgetting where you put your keys, you're losing your temper with your spouse or your kids over nothing, and you can't focus on your computer screen at work. Today, I want to give you the antidote to that stress. I want to arm you with the hard science and real Indiana legal strategies so you don't get pushed around. Because as a retired chiropractic physician and a practicing personal injury trial lawyer, I look at your injuries through two lenses: the medical reality of what your body is experiencing and the legal reality of how we must prove it to an Indiana jury. Let's look at the science, because the science just changed the game for accident victims. A brand new massive study was just published in Alzheimer's and Dementia, which is one of the most respected medical journals in the world. This wasn't a small study with a handful of patients. This study tracked over 500,000 people over the course of 13 years. It was funded by the National Institutes of Health and the National Institutes on Aging, using data from the UK Biobank, one of the most rigorous health databases on the planet. This is the kind of medical data that alters how doctors practice medicine and how lawyers try cases. Here is the shocking headline from the study. If you have had a traumatic brain injury, even a mild one, even a concussion that you supposedly recovered from years ago, you are 4 times more likely to develop dementia before the age of 65. Think about that number. 4 times. The medical community has been debating the long-term effects of concussions for decades, but this data lays it bare. When an insurance adjuster tries to tell you that a concussion is a temporary injury that resolves in a few weeks, they are lying to you, or they are completely ignorant of modern medicine. Now let's talk about what actually happens to your brain during a car crash or a serious fall. As a doctor, I always explain the brain using the jelly in a shell analogy. Your skull is hard, it's a rigid bone. Inside it sits your brain, which has the consistency of soft gelatin, and this brain is suspended in fluid called CSF, or cerebral spinal fluid. When you get rear-ended on the Borman Expressway or hit at an intersection in downtown Indy, your head whips forward and backwards violently. Your brain doesn't just stay still. It slams against the front and back of the inside of your hard skull. Doctors divide brain injuries into 3 categories. The first one is mild, and that's where the jelly just shakes up a bit. There's no visible bleeding on the standard ER scan, but the microscopic nerve pathways, which are called axons, get stretched and can be damaged. The second layer, or second severity down, is a moderate brain injury, and that is where the jelly shakes violently enough to cause visible tearing or small brain bleeds that show on an MRI. And the third is severe, and that is crucial. It's a catastrophic damage, often involving massive bleeding, and you can have extended unconsciousness and prolonged hospitalization. But let me let you in on one medical secret. The term mild is a complete misnomer. In fact, the medical community is moving away from using the term mild altogether. Why? Because mild only describes the triage in the first 24 hours. It just means you aren't comatose, or you don't have a brain bleed, or you don't need immediate brain surgery to save your life. It does not mean that it's not going to cause long-term problems with your career or your memory. As the NIH study proves, the long-term risk of cognitive decline is very real across all three levels. This brings us directly to the legal battlefield, because the insurance companies know this medical data exists and they are terrified of it. Within days of your accident, an adjuster for the at-fault driver's insurance company will call you. They may even show up at your door in one of those pretty cars. They will offer you a quick check, maybe $2,500 or $5,000, plus they'll offer to pay your initial ER bill. They'll tell you, we want to help you get this behind you quickly. Here is the trap. They know that brain cell damage takes time to manifest. They know that your cognitive symptoms might get worse over the next 3 to 6 months. If you sign their release form today, you waive your right to ever ask for another penny. Even if you develop severe cognitive issues or early onset dementia down the road, your case is closed forever. Never sign a release until you have a full, comprehensive medical diagnosis and you know that your condition is stable or totally resolved. Under Indiana personal injury law, you are entitled to compensation not just for what you've suffered in the past, but for damages you are reasonably certain to suffer in the future. Because of Indiana's strict rules regarding expert testimony, we can bring in qualified neurologists or neuropsychologists to testify about this new medical data. We can present your specific injury to a jury to establish that your accident has left you with a permanently impaired brain and problems with function and a measurably higher risk of future cognitive decline. We don't just value your case based on a few weeks of mixed work. We value it based on the long-term protection your family will need. But remember, Indiana has a 2-year statute of limitations for personal injury claims. If you wait around to see if you develop dementia 10 years from now before filing a claim, you'll be barred from recovery. We have to build the medical evidence of that permanent risk within that initial 2-year window. If you or your loved one are experiencing symptoms after a head bump, you cannot rely on the insurance company to do the right thing. You have to build a fortress of evidence. Standard ERCT scans are designed to look for structural emergencies like that fracture or massive blood that we talked about earlier. These tests do not show microscopic brain injury. To prove a concussion in Indiana court, we must do 2 things immediately. Number 1 is keep a daily symptom log. Write down every instance of dizziness, memory loss, light sensitivity, or how these things have impacted your daily life. Have your spouse or family members contribute to it, because often the patient is the last one to notice their own cognitive changes. And you might want to demand a neuropsychological evaluation if you're not getting better. Ask your treating physician to refer you to a neuropsychologist. They perform specialized cognitive testing that objectively measures your brain processing speed, memory retention, and executive function. This testing provides the hard, undeniable data that an Indiana jury needs to see. Dealing with a brain injury is terrifying, and trying to navigate the complex legal system and the medical system while your brain is trying to heal only makes it harder. You don't have to carry this weight alone. Now that you understand the true medical stakes of a concussion and how the insurance company will try to exploit a quick settlement, you need to know exactly how the rest of the injury claim process works so you don't make another critical mistake. Go ahead and click on my next video right here, where I break down exactly how to prove the true value of a brain injury case. I am Dr. Guy. by, and I will see you over at the next video. Have a great day.